never really commented too heavily on politics.
Yes.
But I understand very well, I like to believe, what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. And what I will say to the people who are watching this at home is that if you are naive enough to believe that there are good guys and bad guys in wars, and it's as simple as good and bad, and that the bad guys are crazy and the good guys want freedom, then you need to do a little bit more investigation into what's really happening. And when you look at the vested interest of any country or any person...
Can I just ask you to pause and just comment? That's the truest thing, what you just said. That is and anyone who doesn't understand that should shut the fuck up. And I mean it, having seen war.
At the beginning of this interview, when he talks about the charges that he is facing, because he's still on house arrest right now, he hasn't had his court date, the final court date in Romania. What he's charged with is forcing by, what's the word that, I can't remember the word that they use, like emotional coercion, forcing women to create TikToks so that he can steal the money that those TikToks make. And he's like, this is so absurd because I have plenty of money. I don't even think TikTok pays for people to put up videos. So this is just completely not true. This is like utterly, there's no evidence. The girls that they're saying I coerced are denying it. They're like, they went to the court and they said, no, this didn't happen. This is not a thing. Why are you saying this? And they just dismissed those girls. So it's super, super weird, the specific charges.
Yeah.
However, there's also videos of him, and I'll play one here after we do the Tucker interviews. There's also one of him explaining to dudes, here's how to coerce a woman into making OnlyFans content for you to take their money. Like, so I don't know what to make of him because he's absolutely all over the place. But I will say the 3 clips that I have for you from the Tucker show are phenomenal, like all of them. So the first clip is him talking about Ukraine and just kind of a word to the wise about people taking a position on Ukraine versus Russia. Here it is.
Never really commented too heavily on politics.
Yes.
But I understand very well, I like to believe, what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. And what I will say to the people who are watching this at home is that if you are naive enough to believe that there are good guys and bad guys in wars, and it's as simple as good and bad, and that the bad guys are crazy and the good guys want freedom, then you need to do a little bit more investigation into what's really happening. And when you look at the vested interest of any country or any person...
Can I just ask you to pause and just comment? That's the truest thing, what you just said. That is and anyone who doesn't understand that should shut the fuck up. And I mean it, having seen war.
So that's the first clip. And he's not wrong. I mean, again.
He isn't wrong. And Tucker has been covering wars. I mean, he was a journalist before he did the show that everybody knows him for now. But yeah, so he's seen some stuff too. And I agree with that as well. Like, you look at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, and it's like, what are we doing? Why are we siding with either one of these people? Why are we doing this? Which is what a lot of us feel like. And we're helpless because they just keep taking our money and giving it to them and fueling it. So he's right. There are no good guys.
He also weighed in about the affirmative action ruling as it ties to Kamala, and as Kamala talks about race and how, she's definitely part of the narrative that suggests that Black people cannot succeed on their own unless they have affirmative action. And so I loved what he said about that and about her.
Mindset. If you wake up and you're a particular color, you're purple, and you believe purple people can't make it, what's your chance of making it? 0.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what's so destructive about it. This is what I'll even argue when I argue this point with people and they try and say, oh, but this happens, and they pull out these statistics and all this garbage from the Matrix. I say, listen, even if the world's racist against purple people, the best thing you can do is be such an exceptional purple person that they need you they need you. The only answer is hard work. The only answer is self-accountability, masculine essence, honor, dignity, making your ancestors proud of you because you hold the same last name as them. The answer is the same regardless anyway. But when people like Kamala are pushing this racism agenda, they're trying to say to people effectively, you'll never be anything, and you don't stand a chance of ever being anything. And I think that makes people who aren't anything feel a little bit better about themselves. It's cope.
Right.
And that's the only fans she has left are losers who she's told it's okay to be a loser because there's no way you could have not been a loser. And I will argue you could have been something a lot more than that. And you shouldn't listen to anybody who tells you you're not going to be a loser. If someone were to come to me and say, Andrew, you're mixed race, you're from a single mother household, you're never going to be rich. I'll say, watch me. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Who are you? So everything she's saying is one, wrong. Two, it's destructive to believe in. Three, I think it's her last hope at having any kind of fan at all because she's largely incompetent. I don't think I've ever heard her put a compendious, coherent sentence together. And perhaps also, maybe that's the reason why she leans so heavily on race, because she's not impressive or competent. So she can say, oh, but I'm this color and I did it, instead of actually talking about how good of a job she's doing. Because if you have to discuss that part of her career or that part of her current life path, I think she'd be in a lot of trouble.
That he was 150% correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can see why it's so easy for conservatives to rally around this message, because it's our message.
It's our message. Yeah, that is absolutely our messaging. Like hard work, and it should be based on merit and like not the color of your skin. And the people who do that are the actual race baiters. They're the ones who are keeping people down. That's what they're doing. Yep. It's all 100%.
And then he talked about what it was like to experience COVID because he chose to live in Sweden during COVID. And what he saw happening in the United States was completely horrifying to him. And again, this is another clip where you're just like absolutely cheering every word that comes out of his face. Listen.
It was interesting for me because, and I want to be an optimist, but I lost so much faith in humanity during COVID. If you would have told me how COVID would have gone down before COVID, I'd say, no way. We're not that bad. I thought the people aren't that dumb. But when I experienced COVID, it's actually scary. You see how the Nazis managed to do what they did. You see how they managed to put people in concentration camps. You see it. And I had a very unique view of COVID because in the first days of COVID, when people were falling over in China and the Italian hospitals were overrun, at the height of the panic, when most people believed, because it was the very beginning, early stages, my brother and I had a very logical conversation and said, we're two military-aged men in very good physical condition. If we die of this, the world's over. If it can kill us, it's zombie apocalypse. So why are we going to live in fear? So we found the only two countries that were open, which were Sweden and Belarus. We had just been to Belarus. This is before the Ukraine war. We'd just been there. We decided to try Sweden. So for the first 3 months of COVID, during the height of lockdowns, when Florida was closed, when it was
I remember.
Yeah, when it was the craziest lockdowns globally, me and Tristan are in Sweden in absolute freedom. They had no restrictions, no masks, no vaccine passports, no social distancing, nightclubs are full, restaurants are open, perfectly complete normal society. Nobody talks about this anymore. Nobody talks about, wait, Sweden never did a thing. Everything functioned perfectly fine the entire time. And they don't have it. Where's their mass? Where's their their winter of severe illness and death?
Yes.
They never had one. It's a cold country. Never had one. So we were living in Sweden, living completely normal lives, seeing the internet and seeing this insanity. And we're like, well, surely if we just put up a few videos of us partying in Sweden in nightclubs, this will wake people up. People ignored their own eyes.
They were freaked out by it.
That's the scariest thing about everything, is that they can get to a level where, with the media machine, where people will genuinely ignore their own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. He's dead on about that too. And how many people did you experience that with in your life who were just so like, they did every single thing based on fear.
Mm-hmm.
They were just so terrified because the media was basically controlling every move that they made, and the government stepped in, obviously. And they were like, we're going to go ahead and tell you what to do. So I mean, he's right. He's totally right.
And the point that he makes about, not believing your own eyes and instead just gobbling up the narrative, it's true about everything. I mean, when you hear Biden and the whole administration, touting, look at how great the economy is.
Right.
They're just expecting you to not look at the actual things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis with the economy. They're just expecting you to be like, oh, Biden said he cut the deficit by trillions. I believe him, even though everything is contrary to that I can see and hear and feel and touch.
And they'll spew it and they'll be like, but it's actually happening. Can't you feel it? No, I can't feel it. Have you seen my 401k? No, it's like, none of us can feel it. Stop putting out a narrative. And then furthermore, they're going, after these social media places because they want so badly to control social media. platforms, the government, when the government is doing that, that should be a red flag for anybody who believes in freedom in this country and freedom, like freedom of speech, all the freedoms. And a lot of people are just like, no, a lot of people on the left specifically are like, oh no, they should totally have control over that. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like they learned nothing from COVID, nothing. And then there are so many of us who are like, I will never listen to those people again. You lost my trust. I mean, I didn't listen to him really the first time, but the people that were, I had people in my family who were like sheep during that time. And it is very surprising. Like you look around and you're like, God, the people who did this, who fell in line and like chastise you because you didn't do some of the things. It was definitely, COVID was an eye opener for a lot of people.
Sure.
And if it wasn't, you're doing life wrong.
Right. Right. If you don't have doubts about our federal agencies after that, like I don't even know what it's going to take. You know what I mean?
Then you're going to be the first one the next time to drop. Yeah. It's like, and I don't have a lot of sympathy for you.
You guys, if you are not, I know we talked about Field of Greens earlier, but the basics for taking care of yourself starts with a daily multivitamin. And you can get the best daily multivitamin that is absorbed 165% better than any horse pill or capsule or tablet that you might be taking, or a combination of tablets that you might be taking, in a gel pack. And that's what you get with Healthy Cell. When you take a Healthy Cell multivitamin gel pack, you're getting everything that you need for the day in one delicious packet of goo. It tastes amazing. It's like a treat. And not only do they have a multivitamin, which is just sort of your foundation, but they have all these other gel packs that treat or target or support different parts of your body that need it. So for example, in your case, I know that you, because you have autoimmune stuff going on, you take their immune boost.
I love the immune boost. And then also the REM sleep stuff. I'll take that every once in a while because I have trouble sleeping a lot. So the REM sleep and the immune boost are my two go-tos.
I mean, those are fantastic. If you have like joint and mobility issues, if you have focus and recall issues, if you have heart and vascular issues, there is something for everyone at healthycell.com/chicks. They also, if you just want to try a 7-day pack just to see how you feel, you can do that for less than $20. Shipping is free. You can get your immune boost with the Immune Super Boost at healthycell.com/chicks and use code chicks. You're going to get 20% off of your first order. healthycell.com/chicks.